Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. So as you see by the title, I'll be talking about basically my process of getting into grad school basically. So this fall I'll be attending Florida State University in hopes of getting my doctorate in developmental psychology. So I'll basically be telling you what I did, like application process, experience and stuff like that. So I just want to make a disclaimer that what I did might not, work for everyone. I just wanted to share my experience so that, like if you are thinking about applying to grad school or you have applied to grad school, like you kind of, get like the experience of someone else. Okay, so before I even say anything, I have to give a shout out to the Mcnair's Ronald E. Mcnair Scholars Program, because without that program, I definitely 100% would not be in the position that I am in today. That program, its main goal is basically to help underrepresented groups, I should say, get into PhD programs and also complete their program, I guess. So I joined Mcnair in January of 2019, which was my second year at my school. The reason why I'm saying second year and not like sophomore or whatever is because I only did undergrad in 3 years. So this is my third year right now in undergrad and I'll be graduating. Story for another time. So it was kind of weird. Like it was my second year, but I was a junior per se. So yeah, I joined January of 2019, and with Mcnair, when you're a junior, sometimes if you're a sophomore too, it can work. Like every situation is different. But when you're a junior, you have this summer research opportunity where you stay on campus in the summer and you have a research advisor that you complete a independent research project with. So with this program, what makes it kind of special is that you have your independent research under your belt / on your resume before you even graduate, because a lot of applicants can't say that, they've probably helped with research, but they've never done it themselves, they're not like the first research investigator, I think is the word. But so summer of 2019, I spent from June to 8 weeks, basically, roughly 8 weeks, doing an independent research project. So I would go into lab, I would have meetings every week. They had professional development programs where they had current graduate students come in and talk to us about how they applied and how they did their personal essays and how they structured their graduate school list and all that stuff. So they basically were giving us the in on how to apply to grad school. So in the summer, it was a hectic summer, but it was also a very rewarding summer. And also at the end of the program, you write a research paper, right? So not only do you have your research skills, but you also have a research paper showing that you are able of doing basically the work that grad school requires. Because so Mcnair was basically the first starting point. That program ended, the summer experience, I should say, ended in basically the end of July. We presented our research at a symposium and it was really nice and it was cool. So since I was graduating May of 2020, I had to do applications fall 2019, right? Because I was doing college so quickly, I had to decide that if this was something that I really wanted to do, because in my mind, graduate school was already so competitive, and I know that there's people who are applying with their masters already. Like, what would make me stand out, especially because I was so young, It takes a lot of reflection in the beginning part. So what I did was I compared getting a job after college to going to grad school after college. And just for me, I just had more opportunities with going to grad. In the long run, I had more opportunities if I went to graduate school after I graduated. And also, I enjoyed being able to produce my own research. So that was another thing that motivated me to apply to graduate school. The 3 things I think you should kind of say that you need for your application, that are important to your application, are GRE, recommendations, and then your essay, right? Those are, I think, in my opinion, those are the 3 most important things that that stand out on your application. So when it comes to the GRE, Mcnair provided us with the Kaplan Gre Prep, and that was for the whole summer. Actually, it was from June to October that you had the program, right? And they paid for it and everything, so that was good on our end. After I went home after the summer program in like August, I actually every day I was reading that book on that thing. Like, I was really trying to do well. Also, another thing with Kaplan is they give you something called test day experience, where you can go into the actual site that you're going to take the GRE and practice as if you were taking the actual GRE. So I took that, and based off your score, they give you like recommendations or whatever. One thing I will tell you that the graduate students told me, and also that I've seen in my own application, is that a lot of schools are tending to move towards not making standardized tests a priority, right? So like they would be like, you need a certain score on the exam, but it's really a holistic approach, meaning that they look at everything as one. They're not just gonna say because you didn't get this on the GRE, like we can't look at anything else, you know? But not all schools, just a lot of schools are going towards that approach. So I would guess it would be good to look into what schools do that. I took the GRE in August, right? Because I was only home for 3 weeks. I had to go back to school earlier than needed because I was an RA and I had RA training. But I would say if you can take as much time as you can to really prepare for the GRE, do that. Because even though they have the holistic approach, like the score is still a bit important, you know? So take as much time as you need to really fully prepare, and also be proud of your score, because not many people have the discipline to study for an exam like that. I actually hated the exam with my whole soul, with my whole being. I'm not an exam person, but that exam was just like, why? But yeah, no matter what score I got, I knew I was gonna be proud of myself because I was taking it, and also because of why I was taking it, like the broader goal. So that's another thing I would say, like no matter what you get, be proud of the score. And you know, there's always room for improvement. Granted, you do have to pay for the exam and it is a lot, but you know, if things are meant to be, it'll be, you know, and you just gotta trust that. So then the next thing is recommendations. My research advisor told me it's best if you have, so you need like 3 recommendations, right? It's best if 2 out of the 3 are from a professor in the same discipline. So my discipline was psychology, so anyone in psychology or sociology or just those kind of those fields would be a good recommender. But because I'm doing in my school, I'm doing psychology with a neuroscience option and also a minor in biology, like a good amount of my classes were biology classes basically. So I really had to look deep, I guess I could say, for recommenders, because you don't just want someone that you did good in their class with, you know, you want someone that can speak to your intellect, your capabilities, your skills, and also you as a person. So I had my research advisor and then this professor who I took 2 of her classes and also was a learning assistant. Basically, a learning assistant is someone, it's like a TA, but someone who doesn't grade, basically. So I took 2 of her classes and I was a learning assistant for those same 2 classes after I took them. So she knew me very well. And then this other professor, he was my social psychology professor, right? So I had 2 people in my discipline, and then the other person who wasn't in the discipline could really speak on my character and my capabilities. And I think strong letters of recommendation are very important, right? And it's important that they're also from people who have doctorates. I was going to have one of my mentors do it, I mean, I did, but not for all of my applications. So my mentor is a current graduate student, but it's more effective from someone who has a doctor, you know, because they've gone through the process, they know what it takes, you know, and they're like established in their field. So it's like someone like that supporting you says something, you know. And then lastly was your personal essay. My independent research project was about how neighborhood quality can impact the relationship between parental, I think I say that word wrong, parental involvement and the grades of adolescents. In my essay, I kind of explained why I chose that as my project and what I could do in grad school. So I talked about my experience in college, because that's what led me to choosing the research project that I did, and then from learning this, where would I want to go with it in the future, right? That's what I talked about, and I tied it all together. So in that, I have a snippet about my personal experience, and then I could also input that I have research experience, and then also they can see how them as a graduate school or them as a program can help me complete my future goals. And I think that's basically the component like of a application. I know some schools, they have their own prompts that they want you to answer, but mine was just like, why do you want to come here? For the best I can remember, actually. So my essay was like 1.5 pages. So as long as you get your point across, it doesn't have to be 10,000 pages, because you know they have so many essays to read and so many applications to get through. Like, short and sweet. But if you feel like you need to get 2-3 pages to get your point across, do that. But I'm just saying, don't feel pressured to saying so much that, you know, everyone gets lost while reading it. Also, another thing, I had about 4 people look over my essay before I submitted it. And originally I didn't want anyone to, because it was just like, what am I supposed to write, and like, how am I supposed to write it? But it's very important to get the opinion of someone else, because they're looking at it with fresh eyes, and they're looking at it, how do I say it? They're looking at it with a chance to make you better. So I went through around 4 rounds of edits. Make that like 8, because every person had like, I think 2 sets of things. Yeah, my overall tip would just be to be personal, but also brag a little bit, you know, humble, but humble brag. Yeah. So when it comes to what graduate school you want to apply to, I think you really can't ask anyone that question like, oh, what school do you think I should apply to? Because it's really about you. So when I made my graduate school list, I looked at location, program, funding, and of course the advisor. So I wanted to get out of the cold, so I looked at schools in the South. I had a couple schools up north too, but also because they had good programs. So that was my thing with location. Yeah, basically the warmth, and also if it was like livable for college students. And then when it comes to the program, I mainly looked at psychology programs. I wanted to expand on the research that I already done, but also be able to incorporate different things I didn't think of. So like if the advisor was looking at something a certain way, she could probably like, they could probably implement that into my research. I could implement my research into that, you know, something that wasn't too far from my interests. And then also I looked at how long the program actually gets graduate students out, like what was the average length of time that graduate students spent there, because that's important. I'm not trying to be in school. I've already been in school for like how long? I'm not trying to be in school no longer than I need to be. So that was also very important for me. And then when it comes to funding, are graduate students fully funded? Do graduate students get financial support from the school? Like stuff like that is what I looked for. And then when it comes to the advisor, like I said, you want someone that it doesn't have to exactly match your interests, but you have to think that like you're here for at least for another 4 years, at least, right? You don't want to be working on something that you have no interest in, because it is like, it'll be daunting, you know, especially if you go away. Like, that's your main focus. So you want to be able to have some interest in the program and what you want to do. Every researcher has like a lab website where you can see the research that they've put out and also the people in the lab. So I would like semi-stalk them, not semi-stalk, but like you see the person on the lab website and then like you go on LinkedIn, see what they've accomplished, because then that speaks to the advisor's capabilities as an advisor. Like, are they actually being good teachers, being good mentors? Are their students successful? Are their students doing big things, etc., etc.? So those are kind of things that you want to consider when you're looking for a program to apply to. And also with the amount of schools that you apply to, like I said, I was very iffy about whether I should go to grad school or get a job after. So I was like, I want to go to grad school, so I'm gonna apply, but I wasn't like 100% in. I was like 80% in. So I only applied, I had a list of like 20 schools, but I only applied to 4, and that was extremely risky. Like, the average, I think we were told, was like 7, but I was just like, I don't know, like, you know. But that was just my experience, and that was just like how I felt, because I was a bit unsure about whether I made a good candidate, you know. But like, God has plans for us that we don't even know, you know. And when you get that feeling that you should do something, just go in 100%, because God doesn't do anything for fun or for chance. Like, it's for you, and what's for you, nobody can take away with you, girl. So that was very important for me to realize. It wasn't until I submitted my application that I was like, you know what, yeah, because I had got a full-time job offer in November, and applications were due in December 1st was when yeah, well, I submitted them around my birthday, but it was due December 1st, and I got a job offer like November 16th or something like that. And I was like, should I take this, or should I just go full on with my grad school? And I went full on. I was like, I'm putting no in the air, so I'm not trying to do that anymore. So I was like, you know what, I told the job no, because I was like, I'm going 100% with the graduate school, and if that isn't for me, then I would start considering jobs to apply to. So yeah, and then January came around, and that's when you start hearing about interviews. Well, the school that I'm going to, my research advisor, she reached out to me like in December, and she kind of had like a one-on-one over the phone interview, and like she was amazing. Like, it was like conversation. It didn't feel like an interview. Like, yeah, we asked each other questions and stuff, but it was just like friends catching up. I'm not saying, you know, but I'm just saying the conversation flowed like friends catching up. And that kind of like made her stand out to me, because no one else reached out to me before. They just like invited you to interviews and then you go there, you know. I would say use the interview as the opportunity to get to know them, because they got to know you, right? Like, they have your demographics, they have your background, they have your grades, they have everything they need to know about you, right? But you don't know them. Your interview is basically you interviewing them. So always come with questions, always come prepared. I remember they gave me a schedule of what was to be expected, and I was meeting with other faculty members, so I kind of like looked into what they do, who they are, and like read some of their papers so that we can have something to talk about, you know. And also, when I met the lab, the students in my advisor's lab, I made sure to ask them questions like, how do you like it? How is she as an advisor, as a mentor? How are the other faculty as like, is it competitive? Are the college students really supported? Are there things to do like in your free time, because you know, you're not going there, you're going there for school, yes, but you're still a person and you still live a life, and you need a way to like recoup and get away from all that stuff. So like I needed to know if there were like things to do. I didn't want to just go to a boring old new town with nothing to do, you know. You want to get to know as much as possible, because this is your life that you're committing to this program for like at least 4 years. So you want to make sure that it's something that you know that you will like, something that you know that you will succeed in, and something that will just be like a good experience. But yeah, after the interview, everything was really in your hands. Well, after the interview, you getting accepted, everything is in your hands. But basically just weigh the pros and cons of each school. I think it's very much okay to ask people their opinion, because you know, especially like family, your family knows you pretty well to know like areas or environments that you do good in and stuff like that, so they can like give you certain opinions that you never even considered. So but ultimately the decision is up to you. I think that's very important to mention, that the decision is up to you. When you make the pros and cons after you've got the insights from a couple people, remember that it's what you feel. Go with your gut instinct, go with what you want. Like I felt so much support and so much I just saw all the possibilities that were possible if I went to the program. So that's why I chose my school, and to this day I still do not regret it. Like I'm very excited to start this journey post Miss Rona. But yeah, so that is my spiel slash experience on applying to grad school slash getting into grad school. So you can comment any questions or share your experience if you feel so inclined to. I love hearing about other people's stories. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed.